Hello, hello, hello. How are
Hi,
you?
Omar.
Hi, how are you? It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome one more time to Reverse Engineer Minds and Conversations. This time
Thank
we are with Alina, and it's a pleasure to have you here in the show. Thank you so much for making the time, and we're about to share some amazing energy. How are you? How's everything?
I'm doing great, Omar. I am so grateful to be here with you. I admire you so much. You had this brilliant idea, and I think it's so unique and awesome and original, and I just absolutely love it. I'm very grateful to share time and space with you. So, thank you so much for having me. And look at us today. I mean, I was thinking about this, and
Mhm.
everything that we're doing right this moment started with a vision, right? Started with
Yeah.
some sort of dream, some sort of desire, some sort of vision. And 10 months ago, if we go back 10 months ago, it was just probably not even conceived yet, you know?
Yeah,
And
that's correct.
yeah, so that's why I call my coaching business Dreams into Action,
Mm,
because I'm such a big believer in dreams and bringing your dreams into reality. You know,
yeah.
I always give people the chance and the space and the time to work on their dreams,
Mhm.
and I give them the tools to put them into action so that they can bring them into reality.
Mhm. Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for those insights and the comments that starts popping up, which is really great. But I want to thank you so much for your kind words. I'm really grateful for them. Thank you so much for sharing this space, and it's gonna be amazing because I'm really excited. And we have a couple of people before we dive into it because I really want to dive into so many things that me personally I get really excited. So we're gonna say you know say hi to a couple of people. Oliver, I love what you're doing. Thank you so much, Gerald is going to be here next week, so that's really exciting. This is awesome,
Yes.
and together we can change the world. You are absolutely correct. I think that's what we're trying to do. That's at least my vision. Is just that I realized that I couldn't do it alone, so I'm excited to bring a lot of people in here. And obviously Jaycee is here. Jaycee is another student. Just by the way, she's in the school. She's hiding. She's hiding. She likes
Hi,
to hide,
Jackie.
but she's here. Everything starts with a vision, and which resonated with what you say. And then obviously, Nisha is always here. Thank you so
Hi,
much, Nisha.
Nisha.
You're really kind. Nisha
It's
is gonna have a Yeah, Nisha is gonna have a big task in a couple of weeks where she's gonna have to interview me, which I think I'm really excited because she wanted to do a podcast, and I said, well, what a better way, just come over and just interview me, and then we can take it from there. So I'm really excited, Nisha. Hope you're getting ready. But anyways, welcome. Thank you so much. But I want to start with you. Obviously, we're part of the J Shetty School. You graduated, but I want everybody to know. Like, I want you to tell us who is Alina and what embodied you or what motivated you to become a coach.
Absolutely. Thank you. Alina is unconventional. I mean, if you look behind me at my paintings, I'm a dreamer and a visionary. So, very independent thinker. And I would say, since I was very young, way ahead of my time.
Mm,
And since I was probably 6, 7 years old, I knew that I wanted to come to America. So even back then, even though I didn't know exactly what I was doing, I was manifesting. I was manifesting big time. And I've always had a vision of where I want to be and how I want to live my life. So that's why I'm so obsessed and passionate about making other people's dreams come true and helping them, guide them to believe in their dreams. I'm absolutely obsessed with that. So, to describe myself, I'm a person who's been always in service, Omar. Always, somehow, people always gravitated towards me to get some sort of advice or some sort of knowledge, wisdom. They just love being around me and hearing me talk, and getting some sort of support from me. So throughout my life, for the past 30 years that I lived here in Los Angeles, I found myself being in service. So, I did all sorts of things like skincare, and I worked in the medical field for 6 years in
Mm-hmm.
surgery with the doctors. I was assisting with very invasive procedures for women that suffer from breast cancer. And
Mm-hmm.
then 5 years ago, I started doing something very different. Basically, I turned a hobby and a gift that I naturally have into a full-time job, and by using my intuition. And for the past 5 years, I've been on this journey of self-discovery and growth and transformation. So I always knew that there was like one more level, another level of reaching out to people to help them on a broader scale, right? So I always
Mm-hmm.
knew that I was meant to do something even bigger than myself, bigger than I ever dreamt. So I started looking into the idea of being a life coach. And I got to tell you, I was very selective. I was very, very picky. I looked around like a lot of us have, and nothing resonated with me. So 2016, I think, is when I started hearing about Jay. And then I don't know at what point, honestly, but I started watching his podcast on purpose. And I just loved him. I loved his humanity. I loved his kindness. I loved his philosophy, right? And then fast forward to this year in March, April, he started the school. He started the Jay Shetty certification. So, like all of us that were following the Genius community, I started getting the emails, right, to
Mm-hmm.
invite
Yeah.
to join the school. So every single day I would write in my journal, I am a certified Jay Shetty life coach. I am a certified
Mm-hmm.
Jay Shetty life coach, even before I joined, because like I was sharing with you a second ago, I'm really big on manifesting dreams into reality. And I use a lot journaling and visualization. I'm really big on that. So I basically willed it into existence. And one morning it was getting closer and closer, and I felt it. I felt it. It was coming. I had to make a decision. So one morning in June of this year, I got up, and of course, really bad habit, I turned on my phone while I was still lying in bed. And I got an email for an invite, right? It's very bad. I got an email for an invite to join the certification. So I kept going back and forth between the screens, flipping back and forth, back and forth. And finally, I kind of said to myself, come on, Alina, this is what you wanted. You wrote it in your journal, like you want to be a certified, Jay Shetty certified life coach. So I joined, and I got to tell you, man, this has been the most amazing journey of personal growth, transformation, enlightenment, self-realization. And that's how I became a life coach. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
very proud of it. I am so proud of it. It's probably one of the biggest accomplishments. And I want to share something with you, Omar, that I'm so
Sure.
passionate about, and
Sure.
with our viewers. I want to share the fact that I've discovered through my own journey of reflection and growth that you have to really align your soul purpose with your direction. Like you have to really, really deeply feel that in your heart. Like whatever your calling is to do in life, you have to, in order to be happy, you have to like really align that with your purpose. You can't fake it. So with my clients, like I'll just jump in and share with you the first thing that I work on with my clients right away, which I'm firm believer about this, is awareness, clarity, and authenticity. The majority of my clients are women. 99.9% are women. And I love working with women and single mothers because it's my story, and it deeply, deeply resonates with me. As a
Mhm.
mom, as a single mom, as a divorced woman. And a lot of them, they come to me and I talk to them all day long. And the most common issue that, I found that they have is they are lost. They are lost, they're confused, they're overwhelmed, and they got lost in the shuffle of life. And they don't know anymore what is their true identity and their true
Mm,
purpose, you know?
yeah. Hmm. Perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing all that. I think it's amazing your journey so far and everything you had accomplished. But I want to go back because you mentioned some really cool things that I'm just intrigued. I'll be honest with you. You
Yeah.
mentioned that you're a big believer of manifesting, right? You obviously were writing down on back on March and April that you were you were a certified coach. You were a certified coach. My question to you is so people can understand because there's people that when they reach out to me about the same thing that they don't know if the school is the right fit for them. Sometimes they ask me like can the school is they ask me a million questions. But when I hear people, it's like I don't know if it's the right fit. What was stopping you? You obviously you are big when it comes down to your intuition, but what was stopping you? For me, the way I can relate for me was like when I heard I was part of Genius, I was being of the moderators, so we knew the school was coming prior to anything. And and I didn't have any questions. I didn't even search for anything else. I was just like, I'm in, right? For me, it was just like I'm in, and look at what happens. But for you, like going through, I really had to ask you that so people can understand, so they can connect because you're not alone. There's several people, and there's several people like me that just like they just want to join in because that's what they feel. But in your case, it was just like like I was manifesting, just they
Right.
just happened. But you obviously heard it for quite some time. It was the school launched in March, and you waited 3 months to dive into the school. What was stopping you, do you think?
Yeah, excellent question. So I can break it down for you, Omar, and share with you honestly that there were different sides of this situation. Hi, Jay-Z. Yeah, so first of all, I do my homework. So I
Mhm.
love to study. I'm always going to study because it feeds my soul and my brain, and it makes me very happy. And I love knowledge. I studied psychology and human behavior. I love studying foreign languages. So I had to study and make sure that it really aligned with my soul purpose and it resonated with me. Right. So,
Mm.
like I said, I was so selective, so I didn't want to just pick something randomly. But I love Jay so much for his humanity, for his humility, for his grace, for his philosophy, how much he is in service to people. So the reason why I wanted to make sure that it was something right for me, I wanted to make sure that it was aligning with my soul purpose. And then
Mm. Mhm.
the other aspect of it was the finances, because I am a single mom. So I wanted to make sure. And the way I looked at it, and that's an excellent question. And that's what we do, coaches, to each other. We ask each other questions, and it's like, the light bulb comes up. Um, the way I looked at it and the way I rationalized it for myself, it was an investment.
Mhm.
There you go. That is the best way I can answer. I flipped back and forth between the screens on my iPhone before I click pay. Okay. And
Mm.
the way I said it to myself is, okay, Alina, is you wanted to
Mhm.
become a life coach, you wrote it down, you manifested, just do it. And the other
Mhm.
thing was, I said to myself, you know what? Don't feel bad. It's an investment that is going to pay off tenfold. And like, the amount of work you're going to do out there and how much you're gonna change people's lives. And
Mhm.
it's an investment, so getting the money back, of course, at some point. So that's how I rationalize it for myself.
Mm, that is no, that's brilliant. I think that's really really great that you saw this as an investment, and I think that's a great analogy because a lot of people just see like just I'm just gonna type into the school because I want X, Y, and Z, and I'm glad that you touched the fact that you mentioned that it was an investment. You saw as an investment. Now we're gonna go with JC. Obviously, feel your calling and align it with your purpose. It is really important, obviously, for you being aligned with your soul, right? It's really, really important for you to align it with your soul. Now, you mentioned too as well that you obviously working right now with females and with single moms. What is it that attracts you the most? Besides, we obviously you mentioned that's something that you experience, right? That you're a single mom. Besides that, what is it that you connect so much with that particular
Niche.
niche?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you, Omar. That's an excellent question. So, the reason why I'm so passionate about it and so obsessed with it is
Mhm.
because growing up, and not even just growing up, but for the past 11 years that I've been divorced and a single mom, I had to go through so many struggles and so many obstacles. So when I talk to them and they feel lost, they feel lonely, they feel like they are misunderstood, without a purpose, unfocused, overwhelmed, anxious, tired. They have all these limiting beliefs. That really resonates with me on a very, very deep level, and is the empathy that I have for them. It's like I feel that. I genuinely feel that. Now I could easily be a coach and coach successful businessmen and women. But because as a coach you can take your tools and techniques and you can apply them anywhere, right?
Right.
But I feel like my higher soul purpose is to work with women, and women that I resonate with, that struggle with what I've struggled for the past 11 years. And then I'm a mom of a teenage daughter. A lot of my friends, a lot of the people from school, they know that. So it's like the role model that I am is shaping her up to be the young lady that she's growing up to be, and that is so
Mhm.
special to me, and it's so
Mhm.
important. And women, we struggle so much with the idea of being accepted, and there's so much competition, and there's so much about external validation, there's so much about the looks, the appearance, and all of that. That my passion, honestly, my passion deep in my soul and my obsession is to help women live authentically, and like through the process of reflection, to really become aware of who they are and their true identity. And I
Mhm.
could take these principles, honestly, that of course we learn in school, and that's why the certification is so structured and it's so incredibly beautiful and filled with knowledge and wisdom. So I could just take out of the ABCs framework just the first A, and I could talk about it for hours, because it starts with the awareness, just having the awareness and the clarity of who you are, where you're going in life, and what your purpose is in life.
Yeah, thank you for being so open about the obviously the things that you've been through. Obviously, it is a huge part of your own journey, and you comprehend and you understand and you empathize with people. And obviously, we had to empathize, right, with people. Now, I want to dive into this because for me it's really interesting. Obviously it's a different perspective because I'm a male, right? And it's like you say that we women struggle with so much self confidence. We're looking for others validation. We're looking for that. Now, how are you helping your clients overcome that? Obviously, being aware, of making them aware, that's huge. Acknowledging that they're struggling, they have this the imposter syndrome and on. But how are you helping your clients to overcome those feelings and sometimes emotions, right? Because those are two different things. But how are you helping them overcome that?
Yeah, hi Odette. So one of the biggest things as a coach, Omar, that I had to learn is not to give advice, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, self-awareness. That's right. So, in my everyday job, they expect me to give advice, right? And I've been giving advice left and right all my life. So then when I started the certification program, and I was like, whoa, I can actually just sit back and ask questions. Sign me up. I like that. I can actually make them think and process and really dig deep to the core of what that issue is.
Mm-hmm.
So, how
Yeah.
do I help them? So, in the process of awareness, um, also part of it is my intuition, and I check in with them to see if it resonates with them. If it doesn't resonate with them, I just let it go and I just let it be. I never bring in my twist on the story or my own bias, as a coach. And definitely I'm not fixing anyone, because we're not therapists, and we go on the principle that everybody's whole, complete, and creative and fully capable, right? So if you start
Mm-hmm.
with that concept and you start talking to these people and you make them understand that they're so incredibly capable to find their own answers, right? It starts
Mm-hmm.
right there. Now, a lot of people have a lot of resistance, as I'm sure you've encountered too, where there are some pain points, and there are some blind spots that they're not even aware that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time on the awareness process, because in the process of the discovery and the awareness and the clarity, um, asking them questions, even they don't know what's their limiting belief, that, even they don't know what is the block that is stopping them. So once I start unpacking that and discovering all those limiting beliefs, then, I bring in the tools and the guidance to help them build better habits, to shift their
Mm-hmm.
perspective, to look at it in a different way. So I'm very simple as a coach, believe it or not. I'm very, very simple. And I don't do any kind of like advanced technique or anything like that, because I feel like if people can just start just with the basic awareness, and clarity, and I give them the space to unpack, and I listen to them, because a lot of these people that I talk to, they simply need the empathy. They need somebody to listen to them, to like really hear their pain and hear their confusion and their stories.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing all this wisdom. I think is really really awesome. And Odette is here. Odette, thank you so much for being here. And it says it all starts with self awareness, which I really understand. And I connect a lot with that. I want to dive a little bit into the self awareness. Well, obviously we have a framework, right? And you have from previous jobs. You mentioned that you were in several jobs, right? Jungle, like, yeah, just going from one to another, right? You have so many other things, but then you transform your your hobby into a full-time job, right? Now you mentioned that you obviously do other job, right? And it's a very well defined line, because you say I went from giving advice into just asking questions. And what point do you able to separate both, because it's a very defined line. Especially, the reason why I can relate is because as a personal trainer, we are meant to give advice, right? And for me,
Right.
I do rely a lot to that I need to give directions, I need to give advice, so can people understand and comprehend, and people can connect. But now, the way I apply in coaching is like, I'm coming in here, I just don't give advice, I give directions, but I ask questions within the directions, which for me, but I want to hear your point, because you obviously in a different monster, you're completely in a different space, so I want to hear a little more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, Omar. I knew on some level you can relate. So when I started the certification, I started my own journey of self awareness. Okay.
Mm,
And as a coach, I learned self management. And that was huge for me as a coach. And then getting the feedback from the supervised sessions, as you know, that they are so important, right? For all the students out there that are going to go through the process and through the certification. And I learned by doing. So self awareness, it involved a lot of real, like down to earth, like unpeeling and uncovering the layers in my own life, like what is it that I had to go through? What was triggering me? So, as a coach, I learned a lot through self awareness. I learned self management. And
mm,
I had to go back after a few sessions of coaching, and I had to understand why it was some of the questions I was afraid to ask, and why did it take me aback, or my reaction that I had is because I still had to work through my own emotional triggers and pain points. And that's
mm,
when you
mm,
become a great coach, right? When you really, really know yourself first. You cannot be a good coach. You can be a coach, but a good coach really goes through the process themselves, right? And they unpack to see what's, because you can bring your own twist, you can be prejudiced, you can bring your own bias into the situation. And it's not about you, it's all about the client. And it's not about the topic, as we know, because they bring different topics. It's about the client themselves. So that's how I went through the journey. And it was painful, because
mm,
anything
mm,
that relates to self discovery and anything that relates to holding that mirror up to yourself, as wonderful Mira always says, right? It's like it can be incredibly painful, and just raw. It's very raw. So you have to be very real in order to be able to be an example, or in order to be able to really help people.
mhm.
Be genuine. You have to be authentic and genuine.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Because you obviously mentioned touch a big, big thing that I want to dive into. Because you said in order for you to be the coach that you meant to be, you got to go through that process. And a lot of people asked me. Several people asked me, why did I do the process 3 times? And then the reason for me that I did it 3 times is because there's so much wisdom. The best way I can put it is so much wisdom hidden in between the lines. Every single time I started discovering more, I started discovering more. For me, you obviously mentioned that, you mentioned the word pain. For me, I it was fun. It got me more intrigued because it got to know myself and in ways that I never reminded myself. Like I never reminded myself getting to be where I'm at right now. I had the vision, but if you asked me 10 years ago, never, right? But for me, like now with all this process that I've been through, and the more I dive into it, the more I dig into it, I'm like, man, this is so fascinating. I keep finding layers, and then another layer, and then another layer, and then another layer. And for me, I found it like it was intrigue for me. It was more fun. It was more like it's like something that I really enjoy. It's
Yeah.
something that I was looking for it. And you obviously mentioned the word that is painful, and the reason why I want to stop here is because so many people find that really hard. It is really painful for some people. It's not fun when you put yourself in the mirror and there's no one else. Oftentimes I tell people, like, put yourself in the mirror and say I
Yeah.
love you. And I
Yeah.
have several people tell me I can't. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't? Yes, you can. Just say I love you. I just don't. I'm like, wow, that is really interesting. And for me, I find it, that human behavior, I find it fascinating. I'm always intrigued. I'm like, oh, there's a lot that obviously it's on hidden underneath, and I'm really fascinated to trying to figure out more or find out more. But like you say, we're just here to ask questions. Now, I wanna touch about empowering women, because you're obviously a big believer of empowering women, and I want us to tell us a little more about that, if you can, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Omar. And, going back just a little bit to what you were saying, it's about self acceptance. This whole
Mhm.
journey of like self awareness and holding up that mirror and really going through the journey yourself first as a coach in order to help
Mhm.
other people and to coach other people. It's about self acceptance, and
Mm.
being very, very authentic and having the clarity of who you really are. What's your true identity? And a lot of people struggle with that. And coming back to coaching, you know what? It's been such an amazing journey for me of discovery and curiosity and healing and all of it wrapped in one. Because the same
Mm.
as you, if I was to do it honestly, Omar, even a year ago, I wouldn't have been the coach that I am today. No way. Okay. And without our supervised sessions where we get all the feedback, where we fine tune different aspects, of the coaching or of ourselves, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today, be able to empower other people and coach them. So when I talk about empowerment, um, you know, I can only speak for my niche and from my perspective and as a woman and because of my journey. And yeah, empowering them because a lot of women are quote unquote beaten up by life, whether it's debt, finances, divorces, the environment that they grow up in. And you know what the sad part is they don't even realize the subconscious mind is in the driver's seat and they're doing things on autopilot day in and day out, day in and day out. And they have a certain set of limiting beliefs that is so deeply ingrained in their mind that they don't even realize that they've been doing that all along. Okay. And once they go through the process of self awareness and discovery and authenticity, then we can start working on the empowerment. Then we can start working on reminding them who they truly are, because at the core
Mm.
of us as human beings, we are love and we are perfect and we are so incredibly capable of like achieving things that are just like completely out of this world. Okay, whether it's creativity, whether it's education, whatever, relationships, finances, all of it. So when I talk about empowering, is simply digging deep and peeling that onion to remind them at the core of who they are, and then once they rediscover themselves, act on it. And I'm there to
Mm.
guide them and to motivate them to act on it.
Yeah, yeah. No, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. You obviously um, are very, very, very passionate about it. I can feel the passion. And for me, it's really great to find more people like that, because I
Thank you.
I find it really fascinating for me to be able to understand other people's behavior, And obviously, you touch the subconsciousness is in a driver's seat, which so many people it's in that autopilot, right? It's in that autopilot that regardless of whatever situation it is, right? And especially now with the situation we're all in that is happening around the world, it becomes even more like in more in our eyes, it becomes more like it's normal, right? So now we have a couple of people, and I want to just like I say, subconsciousness mind is in the driver's seat, like JC
Yeah.
says, and she
Yeah.
says this is so true, right? Now Gerald says something too. Helping people is what it's all about, and that are doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank
So
you.
there you go. So it seems like you're doing a great job. Now I want to dive a little bit of. I want to touch about a little bit of because you mentioned your art, and it seems like it's a big part of you. I want to touch up a little bit of that because me, um, I'm creative and I love creativity. It's something that it fascinates me. People ask me how I juggle so many balls. It's like that's the little kid inside of me. I'm always like trying to find. I'm a kid at heart. I'm trying to. I like this, and I go into it and do it. Uh, you obviously art is one of your one of your strongest course. I want you to talk about a little bit. How did you fall in love with art?
Let me tell you something. So, thank you for that and bringing that up. It goes back, actually, there's only like a few principles in this world that everything kind of revolves around that, believe it or not. So, it's about being authentic and finding your true soul purpose. And once you find that, is you need to just be that, completely unapologetic and completely, unfiltered. And you need to live your life the way who you are, right? So here's what happened to me, and that's an excellent question. So growing up, I grew up in the former communist bloc, right? I come from a communist country, and the
Mm,
country is filled with artists and creative people, but it wasn't like the main job. The main job was you're a doctor or you're an engineer. That was it. Okay.
mm,
As an artist or as a teacher, you architect, you didn't really make a lot of money. So I was painting since I was like a very young child because I'm an empath, because I'm intuitive. A lot of people that are empath and intuitive or psychic, they're very creative, okay? Because they have that part of their brain that is really open to these kind of like visions and possibilities. But that's another show. So anyway, so I started painting as a child and expressing myself. I was expressing what was in my heart. And I grew up with an older brother who, of course, was very critical and very unkind to me. And it was enough for me to just say to me a couple of times, "Oh my God, this is crap. What is this? Like, you're not an artist. Like, what do you think you are?" Right? So that kind of completely uh, blocked my creativity and my
mm,
desire to paint, because usually it is our environment, what people say to you, right, that form
mm,
those very deep embedded negative beliefs. So about 2018, so I was sketching and I was playing with color all along. I also write poetry in English, Romanian, and in Spanish. I love to write, so I
mm,
consider myself to be pretty creative all around. So in 2018, I was dating this guy, and I went to Europe with him, to Hamburg, Germany, and to Basel, Switzerland. And
mhm,
walking around art all day long, it inspired me to go back into it and just do it. So I literally came home from that trip and I bought canvas and I got acrylic paints, and
mm,
I never stopped painting. And I have
mm,
probably over 60 paintings. I actually have a very cool project. I'm putting together a little book with my paintings, and even my
mm,
stories and my posts on Instagram include my painting because I love to be unique and I don't really like to follow any trend. So I'm kind of like, I go on the drum of my own beat. I've been very independent and just on my own path that way all my life. So yeah, so art is a form of expressing myself for me. It's a form of creativity. It's a healing form. Art is
Mhm.
healing, as you know, because you mentioned you're an artist. No matter what kind of art form, whether it's writing or painting, whatever you create, music, it's healing, right? So it just it lets this side of you express yourself. So that's my story with art.
No, then thank you so much for sharing. You obviously are very very talented. Like all the art,
Oh,
I really enjoyed the art,
thank you.
and I'm glad that you mentioned that the art is it's healing because it. I do relate a lot with the me personally when I write spoken word. I as a kid I used to write a lot, and then I stopped. I just stopped. I just stopped because different things. But then 2 years ago, I started picking it up, and I'm like, oh, I remember I asked myself, what did I enjoy doing as a kid? I oftentimes tell people, what do you enjoy when you were a kid? That even if you got in trouble, you still do it. Like it
Yeah.
didn't matter. Like, what do you enjoy? And I would ask myself, like, I used to write poetry. I used to enjoy so much. And then so I came back, and I always tell people, I'm like, poetry for me is it helps me to escape the demons in my head. A lot of the writing that I do, it is conversations that I have with myself because I love them, but sometimes it's conversations where I have with people. And sometimes
Mhm.
I have conversations or going through sessions, and sometimes it's not my own personal thoughts. People is like, you're really well at putting people's thoughts into spoken word. I'm like, hey, I get, yeah, I guess, I don't know, but it's something that that I enjoy a lot. And people is like, how do you get in that flow state? I'm like, it's something that it just happened. I don't force it myself. I just do it when I feel it. Well, but when I'm in that high energy, I do whatever I take to stay there for as long as I can because it's really, really, really important. And obviously, Nisha is an artist too, but she obviously
Oh.
uh, does. Do you know that she's an artist? She cooks some beautiful, amazing chocolate. She's gonna send chocolates to this show, Reverse Engineer. We're waiting for them. Hopefully,
Oh,
Christmas. Yeah,
that's
no, I'm just
awesome.
kidding. No, she's not gonna send anything. She's not gonna
Yeah.
send it. Sorry. No, it would be
Wishful
great.
thinking.
It would be great.
Wishful thinking, Omar.
Yeah, we could always wishful thing, especially with chocolate. But anyways, now you mentioned, you obviously been through a lot. You mentioned a couple of things, that it takes from everything is becoming from your childhood, right? The reason why you're an artist because your art in your country, obviously, you were exposed to that, right? That's the reason why you love it. It is ingrained in you. You've seen it. You fell in love with it since you were a kid. Now you start grabbing it. Is there anything else that you feel like you mentioned you're really creative? Is there anything else that you feel like at this moment you wanted to do, but you haven't been able to get to that?
So with my art, actually, it was always inside me. I just had to give it a voice. I just had to let it out. I had to give it a voice. The other thing that I absolutely love to do, Omar, and thank you for asking me, is writing. I
Mm,
I journal a lot, and that's like alongside with my coaching, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write. And like Jay says, I'm kind of gonna try to quote, the highest purpose in life is to be of service. And I feel like even through my art, even through my intuition, in any kind of capability, basically I'm in service to people. And yes, the other love that I have, and I absolutely, it just makes me so happy. Just the way art makes me feel so good. It's
mhm,
writing. And going
mhm,
back to us as coaches, because I know how it feels. I know how it feels to suppress, your joy for something in life. My passion is also to
mhm,
just like unpack those feelings for other people. People forget who they are at the core, true nature of who they are. So then when they come to me lost and hurt and confused and hopeless and, I don't know, disappointed and, it's like the first thing is like I try to discover who they are at the core. What is their soul purpose, and
Hmm.
help them align them back with that soul purpose. Because once you discover what your joy is and what makes you alive and like joyful and happy and excited to get out of bed, no matter what it is, whether it's making chocolate treats, writing, painting, talking to people, whatever it is. It's very simple. People make it very complicated. It's very, very simple. To me, it's like uncovering and peeling the onion back, right? To
Hmm.
go to the core, that it's usually very simple of who we are
Hmm.
and what makes us happy.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I wanna go into. There's a couple of things that you said that I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta go back there. But let's see,
Yeah.
Jason says, asking yourself what you enjoy doing as a kid, I guess, can open finding a way to express ourselves. This is beautiful. It does open the a door that is being closed for quite a some time. Because how often do we ask, how what did I used to do when I was a kid? Right? I do that all the time. I'll be honest with you, I do it very often. But writing, painting, making chocolates, obviously. There you go, making chocolates. The chocolate became part of this show now. That's great. And Odette said, art is therapeutic self
Yeah,
expression.
chocolate.
It's a glimpse into her consciousness, which is it is true. By the way, Odette has a lot of talents, but
Yes.
she's hiding too. Like there's so many people. Like she was surprised that you spoke Spanish, and not I
Yes.
was surprised when Natalia started writing in Spanish. So I just cannot wait whoever is coming into the show and what other hidden gems
Yes.
everybody has, because you obviously speak three languages, if I'm correct: Spanish, Romanian, and English. Or do you speak any other language?
I do, because Romanian
Oh.
is a Romance language. So it's very easy for us to learn Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, French. And then I had to learn Russian in school. So I know how to write and I know how to speak, carry on a conversation. And then my daughter's dad, my ex-husband, is Hungarian, so I can understand and carry a conversation. And then I understand, speak, and read French as well. But don't ask me about math or physics or chemistry, because I will fail. I will fail from the start. So, with our left side and right side of the brain, right? We're all gifted and unique in many, many different ways, and that's the beauty of it, that we're so
Mhm.
individual and unique. And the thing is to learn to accept and love those parts about yourself that are so special and unique.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you know that's beautiful, and I'm glad that you touching the fact that uh, you obviously know your strengths very well, and you play to your strengths. And I often tell people, you got to play to your strengths. I'm like, this is my strength. Me being here, it brings me, and I'm in my element. When I'm coaching, I'm in my element. There are things I know my strengths and I play to them. I'm not a graphic designer. I had to get somebody else. I'm not a video guy. I need to get somebody else. I have so many ideas, but there's people, in this project, Omar Prieto, there's several people playing different roles. And for me, it's like I had to get that particular part together as far as an understanding the what are my strengths. And you obviously are very aware, because you mentioned I'm not if you put me on math or science or any of them, I just gonna fail, right? And then oftentimes, like when you ask people, like, what are your strengths? Well, people don't know. We don't know what are our strengths, and I think it's really crucial for us to find the strengths and what are our values, because you trying to be authentic, and I often throw this question in between. Where are they coming from? Are they coming from you? Are they coming because Alina mentioned it? Are they coming from Jay? Are they coming from your parents? Where are they coming from? For me, it's really crucial to understand where my body's. I'm like, where are they coming? Is that coming from me? And then when it started, like you say, like peeling that onion, I'm like, this is not coming from me. This is coming because I heard that freaking thing in a TV show back in my childhood. That's not me. I don't like that. I move it, right? And
Yeah.
obviously
Thank you.
Odette is saying that that is
Thank you.
amazing. And Alina and Omar, what is an old limiting belief that held you back, and what is the new belief that you tell yourselves now? There you go, Alina, you go first because this question is pretty
Thank you.
much for you. This is your show, so
That is
there you
an
go. Thank you,
excellent
great
question.
question.
Yeah,
No.
excellent question, JC. Thank you so much. So, for myself personally, an old limiting belief would be something like, you're not good enough, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve it. And by doing a lot of self reflection and by looking back and at how many lives I have touched and how many people I have been able to help, especially in the past 5 years, Jesse, that gave me a lot of confidence to remove those negative beliefs. Those negative beliefs, they were not mine. I want to explain that. They were um, completely because of the environment that I grew up in. Okay, so they were imposed on me and they were taught to me because when we are born perfect and capable and whole, complete, and creative. But because of the outside factors that most of the time we cannot control, right? We start learning these habits and these beliefs, these paradigms that are a set of habits and ways of thinking that we become that. So then it takes a long time for most people to kind of chip away and try to find out why did I think that, what made me think that, and how can I replace that. So these days, because JC, with all the knowledge that I have and all my life experience that I have, I'm able to finally look at myself and be comfortable and be at peace with who I am and not care as much anymore of what people think about me and just living a very true, authentic life. So, my number one source of power is my gratitude. So every time I feel even a little bit sidetracked or even a little bit off, we all have days when we're off, right? I break down pen and paper and I start writing, what am I grateful for? And I remember to list my achievements, my skills, my attributes, my gifts, my natural gifts. So if that answers, that's how I was able to. And you know what, JC, it's a process. It's a process. Wouldn't you agree, Omar? It's like, and the same with the core values. It's like you might start in your life with one set of core values, and some of them are imposed from the outside sources, and some of them are yours. And then you grow and you make them yours as you go for what resonates at your true core of who you are as a human being. So
Mhm.
I hope that answers. Now it's your turn, sir.
No, thank you so much for being so open for answering that question. I think you answered very well. For me at least, which is great. I do kind of resonate a little bit, and the reason why I say that is because me, I don't like you say. I'm not worth it. I'm not good enough. I'm like, I don't talk to myself like that. I had never talked to myself like that, but we want to refrain a little bit, so that way is a little bit of coaching here. It's like, when are the times when you didn't feel you were good enough, or when somebody told you you're not good enough? Oh, that I can spot them on like in a heartbeat. I can spot it like in fact I can put him here and I can create a movie scene right now. I can put him in. It's just like create a movie scene, right? It's a little bit twist for me creates a different imagination. But one of the things the limiting belief that I heard it many times, but it's not that I ingrained it. But I can. It took me a while to process it and to heal it. It was like I'm always been a chubby guy. Since I was a kid, I've been very chubby. I've always been chubby. You know, I lost 100 pounds 10 years ago. That event changed completely my life. And I'm so grateful that I'm here alive. But people used to tell me, you're fat, you're ugly, and all those things. Even though I never say those things to myself, I heard them very well.
Yeah.
And I grew up until that event almost took my life, until I said, I think we got to go in a different direction because whatever they say, it really, really took me almost, I almost died because of it. Not because it's their fault, it's because I ingrained it so well in me that I believed it. People used to tell me, like, dude, you're going to die. I didn't know. Like, I wrote something. I'm like, I didn't know their thoughts was making myself like my reality. Their thoughts were making my reality, and it's just like it's true. So I don't say those things. So I think that the things that I do, I'm doing it right now. I'll be honest with you. It's been for about 27 days. 27 days so far. Every day I write down something. I write down for 30 things. I'm gonna name a few. I am sexy. I am passionate. I'm talented. I'm very, very unique. I full of love and abundance. I am very, very smart, intelligent, intellectual, kind. I am grateful. I am gratitude. I say those things because I feel it, and
Yep.
it's not because for me those resonate with me, but I really ask myself where they come. No, that's who I am. I'm trying to install those little things and planting little seeds. Eventually, how long? I mean, I'm going to continue to do it to the end of the year and probably more, just the same like I started a gratitude journal at the beginning of the year, and I continue doing it. I'm like looking back on, it's almost what, 20 days, 20 uh, 19, 20 days to be done with the year. So I'm really excited to be 365 days, and for me, like, it has changed my life. So I think it starts with you understanding what is it, and what is this limiting belief, what is that coming from. I think it's really great. Thank you so much for asking that question. I hope that answers your question, like Alina says. And self reflection, noticing how we impact lives in the past, writing down, I am sexy, talented, full of lawfulness. I like that. I like it. Well, thank you. No, thank you so much for asking. Now, Alina, we're at the end of the show. And I thank you so much
Yes.
first for being here. Thank you, everybody, being here. Nisha, Odette, Jay-Z, thank you for the great question. Gerald,
Thank
I
Yes.
really, really appreciate you guys being here, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Now, is there anything that I haven't touched that you want people to know about you that wasn't able to ask you? Is there anything else you want to share before we end the show?
No, I love the fact that you mentioned affirmations. They are so incredibly powerful. And the more you found those positive qualities and you make them into a list of affirmations and you uh, like incorporate them and practice them every day, that is very, very powerful way to change your limiting beliefs. Um, Honestly, I'm grateful to share the space with you. I'm incredibly grateful for the school, this whole journey. I've never felt more loved and supported than this group of people, all the supervisors and
Mm,
just all the colleagues, everybody at school. And I just want to say, I want to be remembered. If there was any kind of quote that I would be, famous for or unique for, I want to be remembered. I want people to remember me and say, wow, she touched my life, or she really changed my life, or I remember her words of wisdom. I remember how much she helped me, guide me, change, transform. I remember her paintings. I remember reading her book. I just want to be remembered. And I hope I
mm.
can continue to be a source of guidance and inspiration. And I thank you so much, Omar, for today. It was
No, thank you.
wonderful.
No, thank you so much. Thank you. And then I'll be honest with you, you're doing an amazing job. Just keep shining,
Thank you.
keep sharing your knowledge, keep sharing your
And
wisdom.
you
You know,
as
and
well.
there's a lot of people that resonates with you. You know, obviously Jay's a single mom,
Yeah.
Raquel that you have. You know, Nisha, great conversation. Thank you, both. Thank you so much, Nisha, for
Thank
being here. We're waiting for the chocolates. Hopefully they'll arrive. Don't worry, we have until New Year. I'm patient. I'm really patient. That's one of
thank
my
you.
strengths. So I'm really patient. Thank you so much, Adair, for being here. And
Thank you.
I really want to thank every single one of you. Hope you guys resonated with some of the things that we spoke today. It was really, really, really insightful for me, really helpful. It made me resonate a lot of things, made me reflect about my journey as well, which is always great. I like to resonate and I like to reflect a lot about my journey. And just everybody on the 26th. I'll be talking about my journey. I haven't. There's a lot of people been asking about my journey. So finally, Nisha is gonna volunteer. Actually, Nisha volunteered. No, she didn't volunteer. I forced her. Actually, I reached out to Nisha. And I'm like, Nisha, I'm gonna do this. But Nisha is gonna give me the pleasure and the opportunity to share my journey. So hope you guys can tune in on the 26th. I know it's gonna be on vacation time, so hope you can join it. And thank you, Alina. Thank you so much for being here. And looking forward to keep connecting with you and keep
Thank
shining. You
you.
have a lot of you, all right? Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
everybody. Bye. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye.